Hey everyone, I'm Amanda and this is Mommy's Reading Chair. So my son is at preschool right now and my 2-month-old is asleep. So I thought I would go ahead and get started on a video while I still can. Once he is home from school and once she wakes up, who knows what my day will hold. In fact, I actually wanted to do this video like 3 days ago. So for all of you stay-at-home moms out there who are trying to fit reading into your schedule, I get you. I get it. It's really, really tough. And I thought that what better way to start off the channel other than the BookTube newbie tag, which I just finished, than to talk about my favorite books of all time. This video is being made in October of 2019, so maybe one day down the road I'll have another favorite book to add, but I wanted to talk about my absolute favorite ones that, I mean, these are books that I could not put down. I think you'll notice a trend in them because actually when I gathered them up, I'm like, holy cow, I never really thought about how similar they are in a specific way, and I'll talk about that in just a second. So I'm going to start with one of my all-time favorites. I actually read this last year. It is The Goldfinch by Donna Tartt. This book is beautiful. It is about a young boy who he loses his mom in a tragic attack on a museum that he is in. And through the course of surviving this building basically being blown up, he steals a painting of a goldfinch. And I think it was one of those things where he didn't really think he would make it out, and this painting just stood out to him, and he took it. And the story is pretty much about this overlooming guilt of having this painting, and it's also about his life without his mom. They were really close. I don't want to give too much away, obviously, because this is a non-spoiler video. This book was so captivating. I will say it is a little bit of a slow start. I had a hard time getting into it initially, but once that ball started rolling, I could not stop. So I actually read this book at the beginning of 2018, so hasn't even been 2 years since I read this book, and it is definitely one of my favorites of all time. I do know that they made a movie of this recently. I'm pretty sure it came out like maybe a month ago. It really was not that long ago. And I have not seen it. I actually heard that it wasn't that good. If you have seen it and you have good news for me, please put in the comments. I'm so hesitant to see it because we all know that the book is usually better. I'm really scared to go see it because I really don't want to ruin the story for me. We'll see what happens. But if you've seen it and you have good news for me, please let me know. Or if you think I should stay away from it, also let me know that. I think for now I'm going to stay away from it and see what happens down the road. My next favorite book, I grabbed 2 of them because it is part of a series. The series is the Outlander series by Diana Gabaldon. This is the first book. It's actually not my favorite book in the series. It is of course, the jumping off point for this massive story, but it's actually not my favorite book in the series. My favorite book is actually the 4th one, Drums of Autumn. I can't really talk too much about the 4th book because you can't read these books out of order. They really will not make any sense whatsoever. So that's why I grabbed this one as well. If you haven't read Outlander, it is about a woman in World War II. She's a nurse, and her new husband go on their delayed honeymoon because they were busy with the war. She is a nurse. And they go on this honeymoon to Scotland, and in that time she goes to an area with these standing stones, and she hears this sound, and she follows this sound, and she touches one of the standing stones, and she is thrust back into time, into the 1700s. It sounds so ridiculous. I know it sounds ridiculous. It is so good. I started reading this book and I thought, what the heck am I reading? This is so dumb. You read the back of the book and you're thinking, oh gosh, this is going to be one of those really ridiculous romance novels. You know what though? This book is so good. I could not put it down. That being said, once I discovered that this was a series, because I read this before its big popular time, because it is now a TV show on Starz. I read this long before then. And when I discovered that it was a series, of course, I started to devour the books that were out. I think I started reading this book in 2005 or 2006. I know that I was in high school, so that definitely ages me. But once I got to the fourth book, which is Drums of Autumn, I mean, you can tell I am not a rereader, but this book has been reread a few times. It is so good. This is hands down my favorite part of the story. If you don't know already, it is currently an 8-book series. They are all about as chunky as this one, or even chunkier. And I believe she has 2 more slated to come out. In fact, I think book 9 was supposed to come out in 2019. I'm not sure the status on that. I should look that up. But this book, when you get to book 4, it is just so good. I love this specific part of the storyline. I really can't get into this one, though, with you, because then it would reveal way too much that happens in books 1, 2, and 3. And if you haven't read it, I don't want to do that to you. The show is really, really good. It has been very, very highly rated. I've been watching it since the day it came out, of course. I think it does do the books justice. Of course, I think the books are better. They do make some changes in the story on the show, which of course I think is necessary, because from book to screen, there is a transition. Some things don't read well. No pun intended. Some things don't read well on screen that they do in a book. So I get it. I really like the series. I think it's supposed to be coming back for season 5. I can't believe it's already season 5. Sometime early in 2020. So I will certainly be watching that, and definitely keep an eye out for some videos on those episodes. But if you have not read these, I think they're a must. My next favorite book, I actually don't know where my copy is. I believe my mom borrowed it, so it might be at my mom's house still. So I'm actually really disappointed that I don't have it in front of me. But the book is called The Bronze Horseman by Paulina Simons. It is the first book in a trilogy, and what a whirlwind of emotions you will experience if you read this book. It is about a young woman named Tatiana who lives in World War II era Soviet Union. I feel like most World War II books really focus primarily on the situation in Germany, Poland, France, in that area. I don't really read much about the Soviet Union side of things. This book was very difficult to read in some areas, as you can probably imagine. But basically, this young woman, Tatiana, falls in love with an American soldier. And in the beginning, I absolutely could not stand Alexander, who is the American soldier. But over time, these characters just, you really make a connection with them, which is weird to say because it's such a separate time. We're so far separated from that time period, and I cannot really relate to the things that they're experiencing. But the character development in this book is so stunning. So if you have not read that book, just be aware that it is extremely emotional. I am not typically a crier. I'm definitely not a crier when it comes to books. I do get teary-eyed, but I don't lay around and sob. It's just not how that specific emotion affects me. But this book definitely had had me crying. I had some tears falling down my face. It is wonderful. The other 2 books in this series are excellent as well. They are not nearly as good as the first one. You can read the first one standalone and not go through the rest of the series. I decided to. I know there is a prequel as well. I want to say it is called, oh gosh, I don't remember the title of that one. I know that the second book in the series is called Tatiana and Alexander, and the third book is called The Summer Garden, which I do have here on my shelf. Tatiana and Alexander, I believe I had on my Kindle, and I'm really disappointed that I don't have the Bronze Horseman in front of me. The prequel, Bellagrand, that's it, Bellagrand. I did not enjoy the prequel. I think there even is another one that talks about time even before the book Bellagrand. I have not read that. I have no interest in reading it because I really don't want my opinions of the Bronze Horseman to be tainted because I just did not enjoy Bellagrand. But yes, check out The Bronze Horseman by Paulina Simons. All right, and last but not least, this is definitely a heavy one, and it is The Pillars of the Earth by Ken Follett. It is an older book. Let me see, when was it written? 1989. So I was 2 years old when this book came out. It is an older one. I got it at a library sale, so it's actually an old library book. I picked this one because, I don't know if you've noticed, but I really, really, really like fat, chunky project books. Books that are going to take me a while to get through. And I remember the day I started this book. I was actually living at my mom's house, and I remember thinking, oh my gosh, this book is so heavy. I don't know if I'm going to finish it because it's so big. I knew nothing about this book. I just happened to grab it for 25 cents at a library sale. And I remember starting it. It was cold outside, and I snuggled up with a blanket on the couch, and I started reading it, and I don't think I put it down until I was done. It is so good. It is definitely an epic, epic story. It spans a lot of time. So it's actually about a time period that I have not read any other books about. It takes place in the Middle Ages, and it spans generations. It is a trilogy. The most recent book, the third book, came out, I believe, in 2017. I read it in 2018. So he's been writing this story for an extremely long time, seeing as the first book came out in 1989. But the first book is by far the best in my opinion. I did really enjoy book 2. Book 3 was good, but it definitely did not impact me as much as the first book, which is Pillars of the Earth. It basically is the story of this man. He is a builder, because in the Middle Ages, that's what they were called. He was a builder, and his dream was to build a cathedral. And he eventually does build the cathedral, and he does have children. Of course, he's married by then. It is, I really don't want to give too much away because this is a non-spoiler video. But what a piece of work this book is. I cannot recommend this any more highly than I already do. If you love this book as much as I do, you will devour book 2. Book 3 will take a little bit longer to get into, because again, I didn't think it was as strong as books 1 and 2, but definitely check out The Pillars of the Earth. I believe it was also made into like a made-for-TV movie. I did not watch it. It did not look good. I think I found it on IMDb once. And again, I'm hesitant to watch films and TV shows about or that are taken from the books that I love and adore. So I did not do that one. Maybe I will one day, but I'm hesitant. If you know anything about Pillars of the Earth, definitely hit me up in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. So if you haven't noticed, my favorite books are huge. I actually didn't really think about that when I was gathering these books for this video until I piled them on my nightstand right in front of me here, which is under the camera. I did not realize that my favorite books were just massive. So just to give you an idea, Pillars of the Earth It is 973 pages. Drums of Autumn, which again is my favorite book of the Outlander series. This version of it is the smaller one. So this one is, oh my gosh, 1,070 pages. 1,070. Outlander, which is the larger size book. Here we go, 627 pages. And the Goldfinch by Donna Tartt is 771 pages. And I don't know the page count on the Bronze Horseman because I don't have it in front of me. I could look it up, but I will not do that. So apparently I really like fat books. I do like short books too because, you know, sometimes I don't want to read an epic story that's going to take me weeks probably to read. But apparently my favorite ones are these big epic tales. So that is interesting. I never knew that about myself. I knew I liked big books, but I didn't know that all of my favorites were massive, massive stories. So those right now, as of October in 2019, those are my favorite books of all time. I will be doing some videos on my favorite book series of all times, which is a little bit different. Of course, Outlander will be on there, but if we're talking about book series, I do have some other favorites that I'd like to talk about and share with you, so I will be doing that somewhere down the road. Maybe also down the road, I will be recording another favorite books of all time to see if anything changes over time. Of course, like I just said, I read The Goldfinch in 2018. That was not that long ago, and it was 100% immediately added to my top 5 books of all time. So we'll see what else we can add over time. If you have a favorite book that you recommend for me to read that might spark my interest based on what you just saw me share, please hit me up in the comments below. I would love to hear from you. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button and that little bell so you can get notifications, and I'll see you next time.